Hi, I am Jessica Uribe, and I'm here to do my action research presentation. The topic that I have chosen is the impacts of communication with distance learning. For my introduction, I want to give you a little bit of background, and I am doing my focus is to investigate how weekly teacher-to-parent communication affects the return of homework and increase of grades in online distance learning. It's very helpful when there's engaging in teacher-parent communication. It can prove to be very beneficial. Involvement by parents creates a positive impact, sense of fulfillment and importance. Students witness parents' involvement, which contributes and fosters positivity and accountability. When students see that their parents can communicate with the school or the educators, it proves to them that there is a relationship built. And so it helps with them wanting to do that same type of behavior with their parent or with their educator. It also provides support and demonstrates unity between important adults, which is what I just previously stated. Weekly communication, the impacts that it has is that it promotes success. It teaches students responsibility, organization, to put first things first, create a system for teachers and parents. Having a system where everybody's on the same page can really help with promoting a student's achievement. A background and statement of the problem: communication between teachers and parents has become an increasingly important role in student achievement. Researchers have documented students experience difficulties in the area of completing homework assignments, which means that when students leave school, it's really hard for them to have accountability if there's not like that day-to-day, face-to-face interaction with somebody who holds them accountable for completing their work. Barriers that contribute to homework not being completed or turned in is students don't understand their assignments, they don't have the organizational skills that they need. It's very tough for them to follow through if there's not somebody there, pushing them to be better, to complete their assignments. And sometimes the parents are working, they're with their babysitter. There's lots of different factors that can contribute to students not following through. Setting aside time, when they're home distance learning, there's a lot of distractions. They can be playing video games, drawing, listening to music, just hanging out. There's lots of different things that can distract them from setting that time aside. And then remembering to turn in homework. There are many times and instances where students will complete their work, but they can't follow through on turning it in because they're having trouble with technology, or they just forget because they're distracted by other things going on. The purpose of my action research was to increase the return of homework and increase grades in distance learning with weekly communication. The research is important for all stakeholders to become aware of the importance of communication. Implementing a process for educators to help improve success for all students, and to discover the best communication approach to grow an educator's resources and knowledge to develop a better student-parent-teacher relationship. Some of the things that I found as I was doing the review for information that supports the issue at hand, which is the impacts of distance learning, are that the literature refers to many a multitude of solutions that include increased parental involvement, effective parent-school communication, and enhanced positive student interdependence, all of which are necessary to achieve success in today's school environment. What that means is that parents need to be more involved in their students' education. There needs to be an effective parent-to-school communication. It is a relationship, and all positive relationships can be part of a success. So it plays an important role for parents and teachers and for students to have that open line of communication. Although there are many individuals who do not see the value of teacher-parent communication, Don Davies stated, The best comprehensive plan includes parent education and family support, family and community volunteers in many different roles, varied approaches to homeschool communication, including email and web pages, strategies that foster children's learning at home, in the community setting, decision making, and governance participation in varied school community exchanges. Being able to communicate with parents on multiple platforms, email, there are apps now on smartphones. There's also Facebook pages, website pages, where parents can get the communication or the information that they're looking for. They just have to put the time and the effort to go to those pages. My literature review continued. It is stated that students lose interest in homework in 30 minutes. That's by Haas and Riley in 2008. And although this is kind of a little dated, the research, it proves to still be the same today. Students tend to lose focus, even in the classroom. That's why teachers are constantly trying to implement different tasks and different things, because after doing something for so long, even as adults, we tend to get distracted, getting on our phone or listening to music, checking something, our email. There's lots of different things. So students are the same way. The problem of low homework completion appeared to negatively impact student achievement. So no homework, lower grades. The meaning of homework and its purpose is viewed differently by parents, students, and teachers. I think that we all kind of know that what homework is to an educator versus to a student and versus to a parent. Every person is different, and they look at it differently. Some parents agree that homework is very vital to a student's learning. There's other parents who don't see it that way. There's just a lot of things that can contribute to this. Educators today believe that the most challenging task is improving parent involvement. That's by Vandergriff and Green, cited in 1992. However, I know again this is dated, but it is still very true today. There's so many parents that work 8 to 5 jobs, and getting them to come to some activity after, like a PTA meeting or student involvement, or parent involvement, it's very difficult because they've worked their job, they need to go home, they have to tend to their kids, do dinner, do the bedtime routine. It's very exhausting, it's very time consuming. Many parents spend time watching television instead of discussing the school day with their children. Again, this takes part with they're exhausted from working 8 to 5. They'd rather sit and spend quality family time together versus discussing what their school day was about. Continued. It has been suggested that interaction and online learning programs promote student-centered learning, encourages wider student participation, and produces more in-depth and reasoned discussing than traditional face-to-face programs. So a lot of online interaction can help foster a child's independence to do things on their own and hold themselves accountable to their work. Developing and establishing a routine for a child and monitoring their progress is key to homework completion and student achievement. Any individual who does something wants to know that they are going to get praised for it, that they're going to be noticed. And the same thing goes with kids. They want to know their progress. They want to know their achievement. Under the guidance of adults who challenge their intellectual growth, homework provides students with the training they need to develop achievement beliefs and behaviors. It's all about structure. Excuse me. Children need to know that their teachers and parents believe in their ability to acquire knowledge and master new skills. This is very important for children because they want to know that their parents and their teachers believe in them, because if they have confidence in the students themselves will see that and they'll mirror how they feel about themselves. Positive teacher reinforcement, parent participation, parent training, and self-management play a major role in homework completion. When parents and teachers participate and help with homework, the depth and knowledge of learning increases. So if we all work together as a unit, then it's all more beneficial for students. It increases their depth and quality of learning. because we all are on the same page. Selected concepts. So I chose parental involvement and parent-school communication. Schools need to foster parent involvement and create classroom and school environments that improve and promote children's adjustment and engagement. When parents are proactive with schoolwork, the students' behavior and social adjustment improve drastically. When you support homework, you strengthen the school's programs and their effectiveness. Everybody benefits, parents, teachers, and especially the students. Overall, parent involvement is critical in homework completion to provide a conducive environment. Children tend to mirror their parents. If their parents are involved, they want to be involved. They want to do what their parents are doing because they'd like to feel that success. Parent-school communication. Clear communication between student, parent, and teacher is essential to show the benefits of homework completion. Teachers need to keep the communication open-ended through phone calls, emails, or a homework hotline. Educators should start out by sharing their homework policy with the parents at the beginning of the school year. To help with organizational skills, students must be taught to prioritize assignments, beginning with the most difficult and save the easiest for last. This comes down to clear communication between parents and teachers, or teacher and parent, and between teacher and students, and then again between parents and student. If we develop structure for kids at the beginning and let them know what our expectations are, and the school lets parents know what the expectation is, it tends to promote success for them. My research questions. Does weekly communication between teachers and parents affect the return of daily homework? And is there a correlation between return homework and the increase of grades? Context of the ACTION research study. My study was conducted at a K through 8th grade charter school in Visalia, California. The 6th grade class consisted of 23 students, 11 male and 12 female. There were 2 phases for a 1-week period each, with 1 week with communication between teacher and parent, and 1 week without teacher to parent communication. The student population of this K through 8 charter is 689 students, 49% male and 51% female. I do have the demographics that I've taken from the California School Dashboard. It's 50.5% white, 41.2% Hispanic, 1.7% Asian, 1.5% African American, and a 0.6% American Indian. In addition, there are 33.2% socioeconomically disadvantaged, 1% English learners, and 7.4% students with disabilities. The methodology that I used were mixed methods. It was a qualitative and a quantitative method. The quantitative method was a descriptive research to collect data before and after, and to observe the difference in grades and overall academic achievement. The qualitative method was observational notes were utilized to observe how and when homework was turned in with and without teacher-parent communication, on time, turned in late, and or turned in and not completed. My data results, my findings. As a result of the data analysis, it was determined that students completed and returned more homework when there was communication between the teacher and parents. Students who completed their homework seen an increase in their grades. What the data has revealed is that communication between parents and teachers, or teacher and parents, is very, very important. It plays an important role in any child's education. So as you can see in phase 1, which is without communication, I've created a pie chart here where it has been separated by the amount of homework that was completed, which was 26%. No homework turned in was 32%, which is a very high. 32% of this class did not turn in their homework. Homework turned in incompleted was 12%, and homework turned in late was 30%. Without communication to parents, the students were still given a weekly calendar of assignments via Google Classroom. They were reminded daily of the assignments due. Homework turned in was very low. Percent of homework not turned in is higher than the number of students who turned in homework on time. That's not good. And percentage of homework turned in late was also very high. On the next pie chart, you'll see it was phase 2 with communication to parents. Students and parents, so both, were given weekly calendar of assignments via Google Classroom and email. Students were reminded daily of assignments due. Those two are the same, except for the parents were added in this one. 31%, there was a 31% increase of homework turned in between phase 1 and phase 2. Percentage of homework not being turned in was significantly lower. It was a decrease of 15%, which was very good because that means that more students were turning in homework versus not turning in homework. Percentage of homework turned in late decreased from 30% to 17%, which means more students again were turning their homework in on time. And the percentage of homework turned in incomplete decreased from 12% to 9%, which was great because that means that more students again were turning in their homework. My conclusions were to answer my 2 research questions. Does weekly communication between teachers and parents affect the return of daily homework? And is there a correlation between return homework and the increase of grades? I've created a chart here. I didn't title it, my apologies. But it is to show the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. As you can see, the orange is phase 2 with communication and blue is phase 1. Homework completed was a 31% increase. So right here we can see that without communication, it was very, very low. And then we went all the way to 57%. This is what we want to see, is an increase of kids doing their homework, turning it in. And then of course the homework late was a 13% decrease, which was great, that's a positive. And no homework turned in was a 15% decrease, which is also a positive note. And it's important to have the support and participation of parents. It is very vital to integrate an open line of communication with students and parents, and building a relationship with parents may be a key factor in a student doing well and succeeding in their education. This data that I've presented has shown that parents being involved and getting the communication from the educator can make a significant difference on students completing their work and their achievement. If students turn in their homework, grades increase. If they don't turn in homework, grades decrease. Implications for my practice. The communication between teachers and parents have an effect on student achievement. The data represented that. Results reveal that there is a need to develop some source of communication between parents and educators. The level of communication between educators and parents enable a strong partnership to effectively put into practice what students have learned and expectations. For educators, it's important to set a designated time to send correspondence to parents. It can be very difficult as an educator to find the time in their day to send correspondence to parents. Teachers, educators, they are very overwhelmed and very short on time. There's so much to do in a day, but if we set this time apart, think about what the benefits are, what the end result is. That's all part of beginning with the end in mind. If we begin knowing what we're trying to accomplish, it will set a goal for us to achieve. Barriers. There are time constraints, lack of knowledge when it comes to technology. Some parents, even though we think everybody's up to date on technology, they don't understand the websites that they need to get on, because every academic area can have a different website with distance learning. And sometimes parents, they don't understand how to access those websites. Utilizing multiple platforms for communication. As I mentioned earlier, there's email, there's social media, there is a web page that schools usually have, Facebook pages, remind apps. Offering training to parents. Again, with the technology barrier, sometimes offering some type of training for parents so they know how to access the academic websites could be a great positive thing for them. Following instructions and achieving goals equals accountability and a reward system. So for students, if they follow instructions and they achieve their goals, they want to know that they are going to get the praise they need. There's a reward system. They want to know that we understand that they were accountable for doing the work that they needed to. Implications for further research. These are the things that I think would better help our research if we were to do it again. Broadening research to more classes of the same grade level. Adding surveys of students and parents to collect data on homework practices and communication practices. Conducting study for a longer period of time. A 1 week time period for each phase was not as long as I would have liked to do it. I think if we extended that, we could maybe see some repetition and added results. Training parents on technology, such as the Remind app, Google Classroom, email, educational websites, which I previously mentioned, and offering workshops on communication, motivation, and achievement. Sometimes parents have a hard time with communicating or motivating their student. They don't know how to, or proving what achievement they can accomplish. And my references for my presentation. I hope you have enjoyed my presentation, and I thank you for listening.